A new EV from GMC. Welcome back to Techstination. I'm Fred Fishkin. What we're talking about is the all-new Sierra EV reaching dealers and customers. Now, with us is Sierra EV Product Marketing Manager Maher Hamade. Hi, Maher.
Good morning. Hi, Fred. How are you?
Terrific. Well, this all-electric pickup truck that people can see, those who are viewing this, they can see it behind you, is designed to deliver. Give us the overview.
Yes, sir. This is our take on a Denali EV truck. We believe at GMC, this has the package to be the best truck in the market, and that has the highest range at 440 miles. It has all the features that you need in order to have the package that people want. So features like Super Cruise, heads-up display, a lot of techie features in the interior that allows our Denali customers to go to the next step in their EV journey. But basically, best mile, best charging rate. We can talk through the details later in the interview. But for us at GMC, we believe this is not only the best EV truck in the market, but potentially one of the best trucks in the market, period.
Well, that's a question, I guess, that a lot of truck owners might have. They say, okay, you've got an EV version of my truck. What do I give up if I switch over?
Well, that's what's nice about the GMC Sierra EV, right? You don't have to give up anything. When you get to that 440 miles of range, the range anxiety just goes away. You couple that with the 800-volt charging speed. I mean, you can get last into the charging station, and you're going to leave first. Within 10 minutes, you're going to get 100 miles of charge, and you can get up to 350 kilowatt hours charging. That's the best in the segment. So, from a range perspective, it's there. It's no longer a sticking point. And then from a utility perspective, this just gives you the versatility of a truck, and even adds on top of that. You got a front frunk or e-gate, right? Tailgate. You got a mid-gate, which actually, when you open the truck, that bulkhead goes down. You get plenty of space in the interior. The lengths, depending on how you configure it, because it's also configurable, could go up to 9 feet and then up to 10 feet and 10 inches. So surfboards, couches, if you're moving things around, it just takes that versatility or the utility of what a truck is and expands on it. So you're not losing anything. You're actually getting more, and you're going to get air suspension, and you're going to get four-wheel steer. So it maneuvers better. It drives quicker. It has better power, 754 horsepower. So as a whole package, I think you're not going to lose anything. You're going to gain. And then as you drive it and experience it, it's going to be tough for you to get back to an ICE truck.
ICE meaning internal combustion engine for those who aren't familiar with the term. So tell us about this fast charging capability and the charging stations and how that ecosystem is growing.
Yeah, I think one of the sticking points for a lot of customers is how long am I going to stay, for the charging, right? And where am I going to charge it? And how am I going to charge it? And how long do I have to stay before I move, right? As far as when you get 440 miles, that should be sufficient for you to go on almost all your trips, back and forth, round trip. We had a drive to Milwaukee, and that was about 390 miles. As we went through the journey, it's about 6.5 hours from Detroit to Milwaukee. I still had range. I just had to stop to just spread my legs and stretch a little bit, right? And within about 10 minutes, I got 100 miles. So to speak, as far as competition, this Sierra EV gives you 350 kilowatt hours. The closest we have is somewhere in the 200s range with the competition, and that's not even like close to the charging speed we get. But in marketing terms, for the consumer, we're talking about 100 miles within 10 minutes.
The other question people would have was about the availability of the charging stations that can get this going.
Yeah, Fred, I think there's been a lot of improvements. Every community and every city is different. You got more charging stations on the West Coast than other areas in the country. But in general, like even in the Midwest where I live, whenever I want to fast charge, I'm finding, probably got to drive 5 minutes more, but I don't need to fast charge anywhere. I got a charger at home. It charges quick. And this truck not only has this DC fast charging capability, also AC fast charging capability. And what that means is at home, you can get more charge than what you typically get from a normal home charger.
Interesting. And is there bidirectional charging available for this?
Yes, yes. This vehicle is equipped with bidirectional charging up to 10.2 kilowatts. Yeah,
And
we're
for
so,
those who are wondering what that means you can power your house, right?
oh, absolutely. So we're talking about, several, couple of weeks or more of being able to power your home.
And the standard that's used in the port is which standard is being used today?
It's the CCS today, and there's some work with how close can we get to the implementing the NACS support as soon as possible.
Interesting. And then you have four-wheel steering. Tell us about that experience.
Yeah, so in consumer terms, what four-wheel steering enables you to do is to be able to maneuver quicker. So especially with a big vehicle like this is like a full-size truck. There's some EV truck in the market that are a lot smaller. This is a true truck, and in order to be able to go into tight spaces, and even when you're cruising down the highway, you want to change lanes, it makes it a seamless procedure. But typically the turning radius of a truck is huge because the vehicles are big. With four-wheel steer, what it means is this big truck can turn as a mid-size SUV. That's what the four-wheel steer enables to, and that's really the goodness of that feature. Now, the other cool features is crab walk. Now, this is equipped with crab walk, and that is also enabled by the four-wheel steer technology.
That's interesting. The crab walk is exactly as it sounds, I suppose, in terms of getting in and out of spaces.
Yeah, so what crab walk does, it actually twists the front and the rear wheels, tires in the same, kind of sideways, but to a certain degree. And then, yes, you can move out of tight spaces left or right, as needed. But it's a low speed feature.
Sure. Tell us about the Super Cruise and what that adds to the experience here.
Yeah, I think one of the best clinic features that we have at GM is the Super Cruise. And then when people start experiencing the Super Cruise, to them it becomes a feature that they just cannot drive without, especially on the highway, especially long distances or road trips. When you get into Super Cruise, it just relieves you from having to hold the wheel initially and step on the pedals, right? During that trip that we did to Milwaukee, we drove about 6.5 hours. I always mention that, trip. It was the first time I used Super Cruise on this truck. And with the air suspension and the four-wheel steer and the way the vehicle is planted and the way it drives, combine that with Super Cruise, that journey felt like a breeze. It felt like a 2-hour drive. And I didn't realize how much this, holding the steering wheel fatigues you. Like it takes a lot of focusing as you're steering and going and driving for hours and hours. So from that perspective, I think we see it as a great feature. It is on the leading edge of tech, we believe as well. But also from a consumer perspective, as they experience Super Cruise, to them it becomes a feature that they just want to keep using.
Another question that a lot of owners might have, or would-be owners might have, would be, you mentioned the range up to 440 miles of range. What happens when you load this thing up or are towing? How much shorter is the range? And I guess it's going to depend on what that load is, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly, Fred. So what I'll say is the degradation of range is similar to what you get on an ICE, right? On an ICE, V8 truck, you might get 16 miles. And then if you if you put a load back there, depending on the load, on the geometry, the weight, the grade, the road you're driving on, that all depends on what you're doing that could degrade that. But if you get 16 miles per gallon, you put a load back there, you're probably going to get 10 miles or 11 or 9, depending on what you're doing. So the degradation is similar. You know, with the ice, you know, it's just easier to fill up gas and move. But when you start at a 440 miles of range, even if you cut it 40%, you could still go 250, 270 miles with a load back there. Again, depending on what the geometry of the trailer is and where you're going. But that's the advantage of this truck, is when you're trailering, you still get, you know, 200 plus miles where others are getting in the single digit.
And I guess the last question is probably the one a lot of people would have had us ask first. How much? and tell us about the availability.
Yeah, so currently this truck is going to be MSRP at $97,500. It's currently in production. We've sold, you know, several vehicles so far, and a lot of these trucks are making their way to the dealers. But if there's a message that I would tell you is this: there's a lot of trucks in the market that are, you know, luxury trucks, you know, at GMC or even the competitors. For around $10,000 more than that, you get a lot of range. You get a lot of features that none of those trucks have, right? You get the air suspension, you get the Super Cruise, you get mid-gate, e-trunk, glass roof, heads-up display. You get a full package of just a lot of features that you couldn't get anywhere else.
For more info, the best place to go?
GMC.com.
Very predictable. Maher Hamade, thank you so much for spending time with us.
Brad, thank you very much.